Well, for those who don't know me, I'm a gynecologist. I have a board in aesthetics, and my practice features cosmetic gynecology procedures and also aesthetic procedures. So we have a huge experience in the use of this novel modality of facial rejuvenation, which is the so-called 4D rejuvenation. The gist of this lecture is to show you how can we get long-lasting results with this treatment, because we all know that we can achieve good results, but in a short period of time. What happens if we, over time, with all these patients? Well, I will try to go faster because I have only 15 minutes. We need to analyze what the keys for facial rejuvenation are. In my opinion, we need to optimize two things: the health and vitality of the skin. And for this, the appropriate strategies for long-lasting results will be by far to increase blood flow, to stimulate the language of our cells, which is the growth factors, proteins, produced by different mechanisms. And finally, the epithelial turnover. If we are able to promote all these things, then we will have long-lasting effects over time. It's essential to understand that our cells speak their own language. Their language is called growth factors. This represents the real language of the cells, and that this is what we need to promote: the production of certain proteins that can produce proliferation, differentiation, and apoptosis. So, for decades, controversial wisdom in skin rejuvenation has postulated that a cutaneous injury with an inflammatory response is essential to promote collagen production. But nowadays, a lot of evidence to the contrary is available. First of all, we need to understand that the burn tissue is a dead tissue. I mean, if you do an ablative treatment, you will get a good result, but a good result promoted by an inflammatory response through the production of nitric oxide, heat shock proteins, tumoral necrosis factors, and those interleukins that are related to the fibrotic effect. So this treatment destroyed part of keratinocytes, on the other hand, that are the responsible of the restoration of the epidermis and control the process of collagenesis by fibroblasts. So we have done a lot of ablative treatments with good results, but nowadays, no more than ever, our patients, at least in South America, they don't want to have this post-immediate effect. So this is the reason why these type of treatments, non-ablative treatments, are becoming little by little more popular all around the world. So what if one could get a similar cosmetic result where normal collagen is produced by stimulating non-fibrotic or non-inflammatory growth factors with less aggression? These are our questions. So we could do this through the combination of these two wavelengths, 4 different modalities of treatment working on deeper medial and superficial connective shrinkable structures. We need to understand that some growth factors, such as these two, are responsible for fibrosis phenomenon and are produced by fibroblasts. And the trend today is to use procedures that minimize inflammation and at the same time to increase anti-fibrotic growth factors. So when we use an ablative treatment, remember keratinocytes are the most sensitive cells to ablation and microablation. We will also have melanocyte destruction with the risk of hyperpigmentation and collateral damage and inactivation of the appropriate growth factors for wound healing, which are transforming growth factor beta 3, keratinocyte growth factors, and epidermal growth factors. On the other hand, we will have necrosis and inflammation with the risk of fibrosis. The embryonic wound healing model is completely antifibrotic and only possible in non-ablative procedures in which inflammatory response is minimized. So in the embryonic wound healing model, the cytokines that control this healing process are these three that are produced by keratinocytes. So keratinocytes are responsible for regenerative healing, meanwhile fibroblasts are responsible for cicatricial healing. And this is essential to be understood. The deeper the fibroblast aggression, the highest the risk of fibrotic healing process. So I think that the industry is so busy chasing the fibroblast to make collagen, and everything else get caught in a crossfire. So the importance of keratinocytes, in my opinion, is overlooked and it's abused shamelessly. So to sum up and to go straight to the point, the keratinocytes have a complex role in the healing process, which enables a better outcome in relation to the frequent failures of harsh ablative treatments to stimulate fibroblasts. In this sense, we propose to our patients the use of non-ablative technology. And how can we get this technology to have long-lasting effect? We need to understand two things. On the one hand, we need to know the mechanism of action of the heat. On the other hand, we need to understand or to know how a 4D rejuvenation can be made effectively. And remember that it takes time for the skin to rejuvenate. So we all know the 4 steps of 4D rejuvenation, where we should, in the oral mucosa, the oral mucosa can be targeted and the temperature can be increased up to between 40 to 50 Celsius degrees to promote a complete shrinkage in the internal mucosa. All the surrounding sagging structures will be pulled as well, improving the nasolabial fold, at least for a certain period of time. So this is the first step, and if you see a remarkable shrinkage at the level of mucosa, can tighten the skin. The second step is to shrinkage deep shrinkable structures such as the retinacula cutis here in anchoring areas of this mass. For this, we use this self-induced non-ablative 3D fractional modality. This type of pulse can promote this, can increase the temperature in deep connective structures to promote an amazing shrinkage, immediately shrinkage, which in turn will promote a new collagen production. It has been demonstrated that the shortest the diameter of the spot, the highest the temperature. So when we focus the FRAC3 in a short pulse, I mean the FRAC3 from 0.1 to 1.6, we use 0.1 to 0.3 because in a 4 millimeter spot we can reach the temperature, we can maintain the temperature over time. Because if you compare what happened with a 4D, with a FRAC3 in a 1 millimeter spot or 1.6 millimeter spot, the amount of temperature that can be reached is by far less. So the most important thing here is to use FRAC3 in no more than 0.3 millimeter spot milliseconds in a 4 millimeter spot. On the other hand, we must generate traction vectors in anchoring areas of the muscular aponeurotic superficial system. So we deliver the energy in areas where we want to target also muscles. Remember, muscles are attached deeply to the bones and superficially to the fat tissue, and the fat tissue is connected to the skin via retinacula cutis. In the same way, when we use threads, we are promoting the same effect. We are creating a mechanical injury here, targeting the retinacula cutis. Here we do just the same, but this is a thermal injury. So the idea is to delicately lift the tissues and reposition the skin by creating vectors of tension when the shrinkage of the retinacula occurs, improving sagging skin. And in this video, we can see how I do the FRAC3, the second step of this treatment, by targeting these anchoring areas of this mass. And you will see that it is important to reach the temperature and to maintain the temperature. You see the temperature after every shot and the average temperature reached. So the temperature is still maintained for some seconds. Otherwise, you won't get any tightening or any effective tightening over time. So this is like a thread, but with light, with a laser. We are, instead of using a mechanical injury, we are producing a thermal injury, and we maintain the temperature for some seconds. The third step is the ultra-long NDAC pulse, which is this bulk heating concept that can be promoted with the use of piano mode. Its controlled heating happened underneath the skin by the release of these non-fibrotic growth factors. In the same way, we need to create a mesh beneath the skin. When we use threads, we use threads in a crisscross pattern to create scaffolding beneath the skin. In this sense, we do the piano mode, the third step, creating a mesh, trying to promote tightening and collagen production through a thermal injury. And you will see the temperature after each shot and the average temperature reached. And then we do this in a crisscross pattern. I do this 3 times until I reach the temperature both sides of the skin, and the results are amazing immediately. But my concern is how long does this effect could last. I want this effect to last the over time. So once the new collagen formation occurs, the skin will appear tighter, younger, and more elastic. So with the combination of smooth mode from erbium, FRAC3 and piano from neodymium, we can produce a lifting effect, redensification at the level of the dermis, voluminization, and later collagenesis and angiogenesis. And the fourth step is the superficial peel, just to give a pearl finish to the skin. Okay, the parameters that you can have. Sorry, if you want to take a picture of the parameters, you will see these parameters that have further been used and the ones I am using. The FRAC3 I prefer to use in the 0.1 to 0.3 milliseconds because it has been demonstrated that with these short pulses of FRAC, the temperature that you can reach is by far higher. And in a R33 with 4 millimeter spot. For piano mode, these are the parameters I use for piano mode, but I use matrix view to reach this temperature. No more than 43 to 45 Celsius degree is needed to get this effect. And then the superficial peel with PSO3, with R11, or with R04. The immediate results that you can get in a short follow-up, you can see all these patients have done between 1 to 3 sessions. And you can see this is a short follow-up. I mean, these patients are happy for 6 months, maybe a year, but what happened over time? The effect tends to disappear. It's like if I use Botox. If I use Botox after 4 months, the effect, or maybe 6 months, depends, will disappear. My idea is to, if you keep stimulating the skin, you will have long-lasting effect because it takes time for the skin to rejuvenate. All these patients are short follow-up, but which is the appropriate strategy for long-lasting results? In my opinion, to maintain the stimulus and to maintain the tightening effect by repeating sessions. In our protocol, we recommend a session every 4 months, 2 initial sessions, 30 days apart, and then 1 session every 4 months if this patient over 50, or every 6 months if the patient is younger. This is our protocol. Now look at what happened after 3 years. This is after 6 months, and this is after 3 years, 1 session every 4 months. Look at the quality of the skin. And this is no Botox because it's not dynamic wrinkles. The patient is not laughing here, so it's only 4D, but look at the quality of the skin here. Another long follow-up, how the characteristics of the skin. This could be done also with an ablative treatment. With only 1 or 2 sessions of CO2 laser or Erwin ablative, you can get this result, but you could also do it without ablation. Another case, long follow-up, patients, look at this, before 3 sessions, 6 sessions, and 3 years. So you see how the quality of the skin changed over time if you keep on doing sessions, the same protocol. Long follow-up, also at the level of eyes, long follow-up. Another case, the quality of the skin, totally different. I also combine for the rejuvenation with endolifting. I do laser lipo up the level of the face and the neck, and I combine with 4D to tighten the skin. To sum up, so it takes time to rejuvenate the skin, so you cannot get this result with only 3 sessions or 4 sessions. During the time, extra sessions to maintain the stimulus are always necessary. If we keep the stimulus, we will achieve better long-lasting effect and